Andrew, on today's show, we are interviewing the Democrat mayor of Nevada City by the name of Reinette Senum. She's the former mayor of Nevada City right there in California. She's a Democrat, and she's going to share with us why COVID-19 isn't nearly as dangerous as the government health officials have been saying it is.
That's right.
She's going to be speaking out against the lockdowns.
Yep.
She's a Democrat, and she's speaking out against the mask mandates. She actually has the courage of her convictions to point out that California's Governor Newsom is working on secret deals with the Chinese. Andrew, can you believe it? We have an outspoken Democrat who's against the lockdowns, the mask mandates, the closing of churches, and the shuttering of schools.
Yeah, I could believe it.
Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colin Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, welcome back to another incredible conversation. And on today's show, I know you're going to want to grab a pen and a pad and to take some notes because we are joined here with the former mayor of Nevada City. Miss Reinette, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
I'm great, Clay. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Now, I do not know which specific show I saw you on, but I saw you on multiple shows, and you were saying things that you were shooting the world very straight in a political landscape where everybody's swerving. No one will give you a straight answer, and I just want to get your take on this. When you were the mayor of Nevada City, when was that moment where you first thought to yourself, something weird's going on?
That was actually probably back in, I would say March, even April. At the time I was on the city council for Nevada City, I was getting close to completing my second term, ready to start a third term, which I ultimately actually stepped down before I began that term because of what was going on around COVID. It was during our Zoom calls with the county and city officials, weekly Zoom calls, that each time we had a Zoom call, I would ask certain questions, like what's the latest data? And, of course, originally when we were looking at COVID, we were going off of predictive modeling, and now we have enough information. And are we looking at the cost benefit analysis? Are we looking at unintended consequences? And basically, I was usually deflected, or many times I was hushed, told to, basically not ask those questions.
When they hush you, real quick, when they hush you, I want to know how that goes. Do they hush you? Do they say, zip it?
No,
do they do that?
There was a hush by when I'd ask the questions or put my hand up in the little Zoom call. They would just not let me question.
Really?
They wouldn't actually get to me.
How many people are on this
or
call?
If I asked more than 2 questions, I was told that I was getting too far into the blades of grass. And
how many people are on this call? I just want to know this. How many people?
So who's on these calls were our CEO, Allison Lehman of Nevada County, as well as our supervisory chair, Heidi Hall, as well as city managers and city mayors of 3 different cities. And these are weekly Zoom calls that we would have every Friday. And it was really less about getting questions answered and more about how we're going to message this.
How we're going to message
this. How we're going
this.
to message what we want to say this week. That's what that was really about. So it was not about, can we please have some deeper answers, or I'd like to pass on the questions I'm getting from the public, which were many. And so many times when I ask more than 2 questions, I'd be told, Reinette, why don't you just wait till the end of the meeting when everyone's gone, and then we'll answer your questions.
Oh, everyone's gone. This makes sense.
Or if I ask about, well, what about, herd immunity, acquired herd immunity, the supervisor chair, Heidi Hall, would literally shake her finger at me and say, I want medical experts to speak to this. There's a lot of misinformation out there, basically insinuating that acquired herd immunity is a myth.
Okay, so let me bring this up here. A lot of our listeners, I assume, have not done this much research. Maybe some have. And so I'm going to just assume that somebody's tuning in going, I thought this was a business show. Well, if you thought it was a business show, you're correct. I know you tuned in for Wolfgang Puck and John Maxwell and all that kind of stuff. But let me tell you this. I have this little theory that if a business isn't allowed to be open, it's going to be shut. That's a controversial idea. And you seem like a person who shares this idea. And so these models were created by Neil Ferguson. And Neil Ferguson first said that 2.2 million Americans might die. Now, Neil Ferguson was the former director of the Abdul Latif Jameel Institute. And by the way, it was funded by Amazon. But the Abdul Latif Jameel Institute, funded by Amazon and ran by Neil Ferguson, they came out and said 2.2 million people might die. And quietly, Dr. Deborah Birx did a retraction from the White House podium and saying that the numbers were off by 25 times. Did you bring that up? I mean, when you saw that, when you heard that, did you bring that up?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I also brought the fact that back in the end of February that Dr. Fauci actually put a retraction in the New England Journal of Medicine saying, I'm so sorry, but my earlier predictive models were off. And really, it looks like COVID's not going to be any worse than a bad seasonal flu. And so I also brought the point when we had the two male doctors down in Southern California who had come out and did a press conference also saying, look, we're on the front lines. And what we're seeing is that this has been blown out of proportion. You're doing more harm than good. This is no worse than a seasonal flu. And when I brought that up, that too was completely deflected and ignored.
So again, you're bringing up facts, and I want to make sure we get this. The initial models that were created to convince you, the listener, me, the listener, that we should shut down our economy. The initial justification was we don't want to overwhelm our hospitals, and the 2.2 million people might die. We just need to take 2 weeks to stop the spread. Then,
so and I was onto this in January. To let you know, I came across
coronavirus
in January. I went in there and got Twitter feeds, Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts of people in China to see what was going on. In February 16th, wrote out a personal email to my dearest friends. I'd say maybe like a total of like 80 people all together saying, hey, there's this thing coronavirus. You may not have heard of it. But, as far as economic supply chain impacts, political impacts, human rights, violations, this looks like this might be on the way. The biggest question was the virility. And that was always the biggest question. We were going off predictive models. That's all we had. And in fact, at that time, I was listening to Johns Hopkins University almost daily, getting the latest data. And what they were saying back then was that the coronavirus the infection rate was going to double every 5 to 6.4 days, which is very alarming. And according to my calculation, that meant by the end of April, the whole entire planet was going to be consumed with this deadly virus. So I, in March, signed an executive order and actually a declaration of emergency for the city of Nevada City. And that was mostly to set up ourselves for any kind of federal funding or anything, emergency funding. And I decided to take a very conservative, safe approach because we just did not know. And I thought, you know what, I'm not opposed to taking risks, but on this, we have to be really extra cautious because we just don't know. Well, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. But once the data did come in, we continued to stay on the exact same trajectory that we're on today, 7 months in.
Now, we're going to bring another guy onto the show here in just a moment here. His name's Dr. Zellner. He's an optometrist, which is kind of like being a fake doctor.
It's like the Diet Coke, first Coke.
Right. He's so, and again, and so you might want to wave at our guest here. This right here is the former mayor of Nevada City, California. Well, lady, right on the cutting edge of liberty-loving America. This lady, unbelievable. Now, Dr. Senator Rand Paul came out and said, if you look at, I'm quoting, Dr. Senator Rand Paul says, if you look at under age 18, the mortality rate is about 1 in a million. If you look at age 18 to 45, the mortality rate is about 10 in 100,000. Above that, it increases, but interestingly, it is still pretty small. And the vast majority, even people up to 65 years of age, it may well be between 95 and 99% have a very mild case of this. Dr. Scott Atlas from Stanford, near you, from Stanford, California's Stanford University. Dr. Scott Atlas, the medical doctor, he says this, and I'm quoting, the deadliness of the coronavirus is less than that of the seasonal flu for children. Can you share your thoughts there, ma'am? I mean, you, as a mayor, I assume you care about the health of your people. I know you do. At what point did you realize, okay, the models were overblown, and the fatality, the lethalness of this virus is in fact not what they thought it was?
Right. Well, it became very apparent by April that was not happening. And I thought, this is fantastic. We're lucky. This should be a point of celebration. And but what was happening was our businesses were being greatly affected. People were not able to keep their businesses open. And I did know that the actuary tables will tell you that for every $10 to $25 million in economic loss, you lose a life. You lose a life because of suicide, depression, drug overdoses, alcoholism, foregoing medical care and procedures. And so I kept saying, is anyone doing this calculation? Because you can't sit there and continue to look at COVID in a myopic lens. You have to look at all the unintended consequences. And I have been asking, and I continue to ask our elected officials, I continue to ask our CEO, I continue to ask the director of public health, and they will not look at that. In fact, what they were doing was giving us one piece of information here in our private Zoom calls, but then on the website to the public, they gave different information, which also added to the anxiety because nobody could ever seem to get a straight answer.
You know, and then Lancet came out with a paper saying that hydroxychloroquine is dangerous, and then they retracted it. So we're basically banning drugs that we know that work. Dr. Z, we interviewed Dr. Richard Bartlett, one of the top advisors for the governor of Texas for 7 years, who said he's treating everybody with budesonide and a Z-Pack, and nobody's dying. So I want to know, what do you think is going on there, Mayor, and what can our people do? What can our listeners do to fight back?
Well, it's very obvious this is not about health. If this was about health, we would be asking people to go out there and boost their immune system. And it's summertime, go out there, get your vitamin D, get into the sunlight, grow your own organic local vegetables, get your hands into the soil, right? Take your vitamin C and your vitamin D and your zinc tablets, right? We'd be saying, reduce your anxiety, go do some Qigong or Tai Chi or do some some meditation or yoga. But no. What we're doing is we're continuing to isolate the elderly who are dying at an alarmingly high rate. Now we're questioning why are all these people with Alzheimer's all of a sudden having a spike in deaths? Why? Because they're isolated, alone, dying in their rooms, right? No visitors, no family members, unless they're absolutely on their deathbed a day away from dying. And so this is not about health. This is about social programming. This is about control. This has nothing to do with health. And I think people need to start yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs. Why? Because we now have children in their schools being absolutely programmed to be in fear, to be afraid of one another, to believe the fact that if they don't wear their masks, they're going to go home and they're going to expose their parents and they're going to kill them. And they're being told that when they do go home and their parents want to go out to dinner, let's say, to actually beg their parents to stay home and not risk their lives going out to, say, dinner. So this is not about health.
Okay, Z, I have a little magic show I want to do here.
Oh, you're going to do that thing again?
Yeah, well, this is the thing where I can impersonate a governor by just taking one. I just need one little. I don't know if you would call this, Z, maybe a prop. One prop.
Yeah.
Let's see if the governor. Let's see if our mayor friend here can guess which governor I am.
Yes, I can. I already got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not going to stay. Oh, yeah. And so Governor Newsom, this guy, what is going on with this guy? What is going on with this guy? Tell us what this guy is all about. You're in his state. He's making the great state not great. What's going on with Newsom?
I think the man's a Chinese foot soldier.
Amen.
I think he's trying to bust this whole entire economy and make sure that we can be swept up pennies on the dollar.
I know this. If you look at the paper trail, if you look at the money trail.
Downtown Nevada City, you go downtown, well, actually Nevada City too, our businesses are closing.
Yeah.
You go to downtown San Francisco, you go to downtown Los Angeles, they're boarded up. The only people you're seeing on the streets now are the homeless and the drug addicts. And let me tell you, the fact that he had his $1 billion mask deal, a secretive mask deal that the Democrats and Republicans didn't even know about. And when they did discover this, he wouldn't answer them. He would not be transparent with them. And then he does his $1 billion Chinese mask deal with a Chinese automaker. And they could not get OSHA safety rating with the mask. And once they did, 5 days later, Newsom made the statewide mask mandate. I'm telling you, and we've been also having to undergo massive fires in this area, tons of arsons. And I'm not saying that Antifa or what, I don't know who they are, but there have been dozens and dozens of arrests all the way through the West Coast. So we're at war.
This is a tough thing to say in California. She's standing up to the governor. What questions would you have, sir?
Did you sit down with the sheriff, your local sheriff, and maybe try to game plan some stuff? Because I know the sheriff, I've kind of, through all this so-called viral pandemic, I've been researching the sheriff's role, and they are a lot more powerful than I ever imagined. Did you was the sheriff on your team, or is the sheriff playing for?
No, the sheriff's actually been very quiet throughout all this. I do know sheriffs that are taking a constitutional stand, which I think is wonderful, and they should. And I know for a fact how powerful sheriffs are. When I went to Hurricane Katrina after it happened, I met a woman named Martha Murphy, who was an oil baroness. And every time she tried to get in provisions to the locals, the FEMA or National Guard would come up and put a gun to her head, this 5'4"
Wow.
Southern belle, and accuse her of being a looter. And after the fourth time it happened, that she was trying to get provisions to those who are desperate and dying, she actually went to her local sheriff and said, would you please deputize me so I can care for these people?
Oh, wow.
And not have a gun put to my head every time. So I've shared that story with the sheriffs. And no, I have to say, I'm quite sad to say that I see that our local sheriff, who I went to high school with, by the way, is sadly quiet.
That's unfortunate because they can really do a lot for the communities because they only answer to the people. They don't answer the governor. They don't answer to the mayors. It's amazing.
Right.
They're like they're on their own little island. They're like on Sheriff Island.
See, is it okay?
Amazingly powerful, yes.
Yeah.
Can I attack the character of our guest? Can I do that?
You always do. I've not been able to stop you yet.
Well, because this is what happens.
2,200
you get a
shows.
guest on the show. You get a guest on the show if it's a mainstream show, and you ask them a question, and then the guest begins to answer. What you do, you get a megaphone out.
Oh yeah, that's the move.
Get the megaphone, and you ask a question, and when they start to answer, you go, yeah, that's a great point. We're going to a commercial. They cut you off, and they won't listen to you. So I just want to do my personal attacks. That way I can do it before the media does. What's your religious beliefs? I mean, you've got to be a kook to believe that COVID's not dangerous based upon the facts. I mean, what's your religious beliefs?
Have absolutely none whatsoever.
Really? So you're not. I can't put the religious fanatic tinfoil hat on you. Were you previously to this call trying to secede from the union? Were you part of the?
No, I was not. Actually, I've always considered myself a progressive lesbian, right? And,
A progressive lesbian. See, that's the group that's leading the charge. The progressive lesbians
that's
are the
true.
tinfoil.
They're saving our country. Go.
We're the troublemakers. No, in fact, I've lost a great deal of my friends, and that are more Democrats and progressives, and they're really angry at me. And and I have to tell you, I've been solidly investing myself in this community for the last 15 years as a volunteer, even as a council member and a mayor. I was all volunteer. And I'm really pretty astonished that a lot of my dear friends think that I've gone to the dark side, and I'm throwing them under the bus. They're really angry that I'm working with more conservatives. They think that, oh, you're a Trumpster, you're this, you're that. I'm like, no. I'm calling out the truth. And if you want me to go on a progressive show, some progressive, podcast or radio program, I'll do it. But I haven't found any right now. And I think it's gotten really politicized. And so basically what they're saying to me is if I don't wear a mask and support mask wearing and go along with the COVID lies, I'm basically essentially supporting Trump. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm supporting truth. And I'm supporting our constitutional rights. And I'm supporting our right to be free and sentient beings and have the right to choose over our own bodies and what medical choices we want to make.
I'm a Judeo-Christian, and I sincerely, one of my huge reasons I wanted to reach out to you is because there are so many people that are saying you can't be a good Democrat and look at the facts. I hear this all the time, and I see the comments people wrote about you. They're just terrible. And you're not saying Trump. You're not doing that. You're literally just pointing out the facts, saying, look, this is not dangerous. Yes. We need to be open. And it's like people are like, you're a secret informant for the Republican Party. I mean, I see these comments. They're
that's just
brutal.
crazy. The other day I saw a sign that said, hey, listen, when we see you in your car with your mask on all by yourself, you don't have to put a Biden sticker on your car. We know.
It's unbelievable. I thank you for sharing the facts. I want to give you the microphone to say whatever you want to our listeners, because our show's all about action. Action steps, things people can do. What can our listeners do right now if they want to show their support, they want to fight back? Give us an action step.
Well, one of the things you could do is listen to a couple really wonderful people. We have, of course, Peggy Hall, the Healthy American. She's in Southern California.
Okay.
She's on the forefront, and she's brilliant. She goes through and she just reads all the legalese and tells you what it really means and doesn't mean, what's legal and what's illegal. Then there's also Dr. Pam Popper out of Ohio. She has also a wonderful website called makeamericafreeagain.com. And she has a lot of templates. So if you're a business owner, right, who is being shut down by the county or the health department, or you are an individual who does not want to wear your mask or cannot wear your mask, she has all these templates, and they have cases. Like Dr. Pam Popper has a legal team and has a medical team, and they are actually fighting this in court. I would also pay attention to Dr. David Martin. Dr. David Martin is also really brilliant. You can see him in Plandemic, the documentary. He's also has some federal lawsuits as well going on. So these are people who are really fighting the good fight. And again, folks, if you're making this into politics, then that's your first mistake. This should be all about health. This should also be all about medical freedom. We are sentient beings. We have the inalienable rights, God-given rights to actually do as we want to do. And it is not my responsibility. It is not my responsibility. I'm concerned about your health, but it's not my responsibility to take care of you, to make sure that you are healthy. If that is my responsibility, then that means that every time I see you with a cigarette in your mouth, I should be removing it from your lips. Every time I see you put a cheeseburger to your teeth, I should be removing that out of your hand. If it's my responsibility to keep you healthy, my question to you is, where do you draw the line?
Where can we learn more about you? If we want to read more about you, see more about you, where can the listeners go to learn more about you?
I'm on Instagram, Reinette Senum. I'm also on, Facebook, of course, Reinette Senum. I have a blog called The Foghorn Express. Don't forget the THS, thefoghornexpress.com. And and I also have a Twitter feed, Reinette, or You Bet Reinette, at You Bet Reinette. And you can find me. I'm very, very active. I'm also on a lot of interviews, Zoom calls with Sasha Stone, the New Earth Project. And we have a lot of things coming up. October 2nd is this Draw the Line event, Draw the Line in the sand, draw the line. And that's a big event where a lot of different thought leaders are going to be speaking and talking about exactly what we're talking about today and helping people assist them in getting through this. And really the best thing you can do is go back to living. Take your mask off, right? Enjoy the sunshine. Go out there, hug your friends. Do not let your schools intimidate yourself and other parents into masking and separating your children. I have to tell you, I have so many parents now who are telling me in these last couple of weeks, their children are having complete psychological breaks. They're melting down. They're clinging to their parents. They are not doing well here. They are not doing well. And for God's sake, for the children, please, folks, stand up for them. This is their future.
Ma'am, I appreciate you so much. I'm sorry I can't go on a line and correct every negative comment that you've received on social media. But you're getting a lot of positive comments, and a lot of people are waking up to the truth. I mean, a lot of Nashville, what just got unearthed there, the lies being spread by the Nashville Health Department and the mayor's office there. I mean, there's more and more truth surfacing. So keep fighting the fight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Clay. It's been a pleasure.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom! Stop what you're doing and think about this for a second. What would happen if your company was suddenly able to generate exponentially more quality sales leads? That would be incredible. What would happen if your company came up at the top or near the top of the Google search engine results?
Well, I would just feel overwhelmed with all that business.
How many thousands of dollars in lost sales or millions of dollars in lost sales are you missing out on simply because your potential customers can't find you when they go online to search for the products and services that you offer?
I refuse to think that thought because I don't want any more business.
Unless you are a dirty communist that hates money, my new book, Search Engine Domination, will help you grow your business. In my new book, Search Engine Domination, we will teach you the specific steps that you need to take to dominate the search engine results.
What do you mean by dominate?
You see, in my new book, Search Engine Domination, we will teach you the specific steps that you need to take to dominate search engine results. Download your free ebook copy today at thebestseobook.com. I repeat, that's thebestseobook.com.
My name is Amy Baltimore, and I am a CPA in Covington, Tennessee. I've been working with the Thrive team now for about a year. One of the first things that they did was to update my website and my search engine optimization. I prior had a website, but I was not being found on Google, and all of my new business was coming through referrals from friends, family, etc. And right away I started to see results. People were calling and coming in saying that they found me on Google. They just Googled CPA near me, and there I was at the top of the page. And so it's been a great help to my business.
Again, you can download your free ebook copy today at thebestseobook.com.
Hey, this is Dustin Huff. I'm with Keystone Harbor Marina. We joined Thrive back in January and have been working with these guys for about 7 months. During that time period, we have moved up our Google rank through reviews and SEO processes that we've compiled through these guys. Our leads have gone from about 4 a week to now 165 a week. So the process works. I will tell you from experience, once you begin, you have to stay with it. As long as you continually do this week in and week out, month in and month out, you'll continually grow.
The system works, but nothing works unless you do. You've got to take some action. Download the ebook for free today at thebestseobook.com.
Hello, my name is Daniel with Daniel's Heating and Air here in Amarillo, Texas. The way Google has affected my business, we have got a lot of calls from Google. Right now it's July and we've had the best month ever. And it took us about 8 to 10 months to get on top of Google, and I'm glad we did.
Remember, nothing works unless you do. You have to go to thebestseobook.com today. Download the ebook for free. Just download that ebook for free, and you'll be off to the races.
Hi, my name is Christina Nemus. I'm the owner and operator of Angel's Touch Auto Body and Detailing in Bourne, Massachusetts. We have been working with Thrive and their coaching for, say, 8 to 9 months, and it took us about 6 months, 5 to 6 months to get on the top of Google, and with their help with the website and marketing, and the SEO and retargeting ads with Google, and it has been phenomenal. We just have light and day business coming in, phone calls coming in, walk-ins, referrals. It's just through the roof, and we couldn't be happier. At the moment, we are up 50% this year from the previous year, and not only is that part of our own hard work and diligence, but also with the help of Thrive and what they've done for us and getting us on the top of Google and, you know, all their knowledge and coaching. And yeah, so super grateful, super pumped to see what the future holds for all of us. Thank you.
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Proverbs 10:4. I'm here to tell you, you can do it if you can just motivate yourself. 12 the masses had to cut off a few, so on the day you and I could rendezvous. A misshapen tree that I had to prune. I had to make cuts to be here daily at noon. So like a tidal wave, a knowledge monsoon, I could rain on the parades of those who doubt in you. Are you the next Rockefeller or the next guru, or the next Dr. King who's changing the rules? Walls are in your way, will you run right through? Like a running back, force the one, it's up to you. I remember my days back in the dorm room, tuned to the gloom like the temple of doom, overwhelmed with the doubts that try to consume my hope for the future that I could pursue. But from the mountaintop now I can conclude that you have what it takes if you want the view to.
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time. It's your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
This moment is profound cause you're above the ground. Your road might have been rough, but what you got now is now. We're here to pick you up and to even show you how, but you gotta be resourceful with that old plow. Started from the bottom, but I worked my way up, cause by 4 a.m. I've always been prayed up. Rise and grind as your time, don't dare let up. You gotta get it, don't quit it till your seeds grow up.
This is your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find.
Yes.
Today is your day.
Somebody say.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
It's your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
It's your time. We all have a wish and we all want to win, but we cannot begin without self-discipline. If you fall on your face, get yourself up again. Attach yourself to goals, not fail with the friends. When the storms get rough and they scatter and leave, you only be there with yourself and what you believe. We believe in you, but not as much as God does. If you're going through hell, He's got nothing but love. Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, and in due time you have money to burn.
Apply what you've learned, increase what you've earned, and in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you've learned, increase what you've earned, in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you've learned,
Sing it.
increase what you've earned.
Yes.
In due time you got money to
With
to
this biblical
burn.
miracle, I look to shout down the doubters. Kill the weeds that be killing your dream flowers. Empower you to devour all the obstacles that make your sweet dreams sour. As for me, I used to stutter, but now I'm on the microphone smooth like butter. If I can do it, I know you can too, but you must stick to it like postage do. And while Merton's on the chorus, singing what he sings, I encourage you to dream big dreams.
Today is your day.
Today's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
This is your year to thrive.
Sing it, sing it.
Success you will find. Today is your day.
It's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
Today is your day.
Come on.
And now is your time.
Sing it, Martin.
Today is your day. Now is your time.
I realize I can't sing like that, but I can talk and play the woodblock. Okay. If you guys need me, I'll just be over here.